Hi guys, I'm Miss Joli, and I'll be your visual artist for this lesson. Today we're going to be talking about moon phases and the view we see from Earth of the moon. The materials we're going to be using today, your teacher's going to have to print out, everybody print out, pencil, eraser, and of course a couple crayons. My question for today is, what moon phase did you see last night? Let's review our solar system. We have our sun, we have our moon, we have our earth. The earth spins and rotates, and it revolves around the sun. Goes around the sun. And while it's spinning and turning and going around the sun, the moon goes around the earth. Who can remember, for the earth to turn all the way around, how long does it take? You said one day? That's it, one day, or 24 hours. You're right. And our moon goes all the way around the earth. Does anybody know how long it takes the moon to go all the way around the earth? 30 days. That's your month, okay? Does anybody know how long it takes the earth to go all the way around the sun? That's 365 days. That's a whole year. Now remember, these pictures are not true to size, but this one's a little close. See how the moon is really small, and this is our Earth, and this is where we are right now? This is North America, and that's South America. Actually, to let you know, if we had to fill up the sun with the Earth, it would take 820,000 Earths to fill up the sun. Imagine that. The Earth is also known as our blue planet, or our ocean planet, because it's like 70% of the surface is covered by water. So that means most of the water covers the Earth. We can see only a little bit of where the land is. Here's another view. This is the moon, and this is a view of the earth. So if we were sitting on the moon looking up in the sky, we would be seeing our awesome earth. Notice here too our little moon craters. Actually, those are really huge and deep. They're not that, they look like they're small, but they're really deep. Here's our eclipse. Eclipse. You know what happens before an eclipse? That's when the moon gets in between the earth and the sun. Let me show you this. This is the moon. And over here where it's kind of bright, that is the sun. And here's the earth. Now, if you can notice, you see the shadow right here? See, all in the shadow? Everybody in the shadow is looking at the eclipse. And this is what the eclipse looks like. They can see the eclipse. See the eclipse? There you go. So all the people here where the shadow's cast, they're in the eclipse. Let's think of our moon phases. The moon phase is how we see the moon. Notice in these pictures, see the little moons that are really close to the earth. And this is just here to help you remember that the sun is shining on everything here, right? And what's closest to the sun's in daytime and what's further away is at nighttime. Well, see, every one of these moons has the sunshine, the lighter part, towards the right side of the paper, towards the right side. See? But this is what it looks like to us. So when we're looking at it this way, if it's not directly in front, we can't even tell it's there. It's like a ghost. That's why it looks so dark right here, because it's just a shadow. We can't see it in our vast sky that we're looking at. We can't see the moon. But as it moves over during the month, you end up with like the little crescent, and you end up with the half moon or quarter. You end up with the where most of it is, waxing gibbous. You end up with the full moon. You end up with the waning gibbous as it goes further. And then you come back to another half moon, and then another crescent moon, and back to the new moon, which is, we can't see it. Let me show you it again this way. Some of you might understand it better, different pictures I show you. See, everything up here, this is what they call the waxing phase. And down here this is the waning phase. The waxing phase is like when you're getting full and you're growing, and when you're getting fatter. And down here is when you're losing the weight or you're losing the light. I like to think of it as I ate too much on this side and I burned it off on this side. See, here's our new moon. When we're looking at it here, we may not even see the moon unless it's directly in front for the eclipse. When we're looking here, you see that little crescent? And you're looking here, we see that half. We're looking here, we see it's got more to it, it's fatter. Right here is when we see the full moon. Right here is when it starts to lose some of the light. It's getting smaller, so it's not as fat. It's the waning gibbous. The gibbous is when it's more than half. And look, here's the last quarter, when you only have half. And here we're losing the light again, even less. That's our waning crescent. And back to our new moon. So notice the crescent is that little semicircle, or I should say a sickle shape, where it's pointed on both ends and the center is fatter. And the gibbous is, see where they have the half, and it's growing fatter than just the half. Okay, the gibbous is when it's fatter, and the crescent is when it's just that little crescent section, like we see in the movie theaters when the little boy is fishing off the... All right, guys, I know you see a lot of moons here, but actually when you're looking at this, you don't see all of these. You just basically see the moon in these phases. You don't see all of that, so I don't want to confuse you any on that. But this is what the moon phases look like to us. All right, see, this is the new moon. We look at it and it's not there. We can't quite see it. This is when we have the little crescent shape and it's growing. And this is when you have half. All right, and here's when it's a little fatter. You probably ate too much, huh? And here, this one's the full moon. And here it's starting to lose a little bit weight. It's starting to lose the light. And here you have only half, back to the crescent. And then it starts all over again for the month. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one around because we're going to need this one for our artwork. So I'm going to keep this right here. And we're going to do an artwork that kind of looks like this. And when we add the moon phases and such, but of course you're going to get to put whatever bottom you want. It's going to look like that. So here's our artwork. I know everybody, the teacher has given everybody one of these. All right, so we're going to turn our paper over and we're going to go ahead and write our name. Somewhere's on the top. I wrote my name. And we need our pencil, make sure they're sharp. Okay, so this is what our moon phases look like. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and put this like right here so you can see. And I'm going to ask that the students in the classroom do them when I'm doing them with you. I don't want you to go ahead of me because I want you to have the same thing. We want to have all our phases just like we see them in the month. Okay, so the first one, and notice when I'm using my pencil, I may not use my pencil like this anymore. I'm going to turn my pencil sideways so I can control the amount of pressure, how much I'm pressing. So on this one here, I'm going to know that I need to go ahead and color in the whole thing. So I'm going to come back and I know I need to color that one in. Okay, so I'm going to color this whole one, this color. And in this one here, I'm going to go ahead and ghost me a little crescent. And I'm going to go ahead and ghost me a little crescent. Really light, really light. In fact, I'm going to take off more of it. Okay, and then right here I'm going to go ahead. So this part here is going to be light, and I'm going to go ahead and color in this side. Okay, so let's go ahead and do these two here. Let's go ahead and color in these two. I don't want to go too far. We're going to all color in. See how I'm doing it on the side? I'm going to put a little pressure. We can always darken it up after a while. Lightening it up, we'll have to erase or something if we need. But okay, so I'm going to come back and color that one up again a little bit later. And then this one here, this part, I like to do little circles. It's okay. If you like to do straighter lines, it's all right, but we need that crescent. Remember that crescent does. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do more on that crescent. I am right-handed, so sometimes I turn my paper a little bit. Okay, so we're going to come back and do that. On this one here, we're going to need a straight line, basically, so I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to do a straight line. Okay, and it looks like I have a little bit of the dark color on my white section, so I'm going to erase some of it. And then this one here, I'm going to go ahead and color on this side. So that's my third one, has half. And I tell you what, we can always come back here again in a minute and color up some more. So we know this one's a half. So try using the side of your pencil, because if you use the very top of it, it's going to be a little too hard. Now this one I'm going to go ahead, and I'm doing it lightly, and every time I go back I go a little darker and a little darker. This one is when it's getting fatter. See, this one was the waxing gibbous. The gibbous shape is when it's getting, it is fatter, not just the half. It's bigger than a half. This is the full moon, so I'm going to leave it alone because I don't want to fool with it. I want it to be there. On this side here, it's just a little hard for me to get to from here. I am going to go ahead and put me a curve on this side. And I'm going to come back and color it up again. See how I only have just a little of it? It's just that little crescent. Oops, my crescent went a little too far. It's okay. And then this one here, we're going to need to bring it all the way down. That's our half. It's our last quarter. That is called our last quarter. We color it up. How are you doing? Are they coming out? I'm not finished with these. I'm going to go back to each and every one of these. Now on this side here, I'm going to go ahead and ghost in, or try to lightly do it, and then I'll come back and eat out a little bit more as I'm doing it. And I know that's the one, that's the part I have to color. Now, I can barely reach that one, so I'm going to I like to go back to the first ones and color them up. If you're still working on that, that's fine. So you know what you're going to be coloring up. So, and then I'm going to come back and work on each one of these. We want to darken them up. If you want some little circles in your moon, it's totally fine. You can do that. I do love to use the sides of my pencil, That gives me lighter pressure. And sometimes if you want to, you can turn your paper over because you know where it is. And if you want to use the point on it, you can. But notice your point will be a lot sharper. It'll be a lot harder. It gives you a darker line. A darker line. See how the darker line's coming out? See how we have it? It's okay if you turn your paper, just so that you know where you need it. And be careful, once you have it colored like that, if you rub on the side, on this side here, it's gonna make it a little dark, so be careful. We want it as bright as we can. So next we have our line. I'm gonna turn mine over again because I like to use a little firmer pressure when I'm doing it. And then I'm gonna go ahead, see how I was able to use my pencil and do it darker. We're going to go ahead and do this part first, and then we're going to color up our background. Now on our background, you're going to get to use whatever kind of background you're going to want. This is our half moon, or our first quarter. And I do like to use that little curve. The point just to do that last little part, and then I come back and color it up. Notice how when you use a lot of pressure it comes out really dark. It's okay on the black spot, on the dark side. And yes, I did turn it upside down. So you see how they look? You see how they look? And just keep coming. See how these are darkened up and these aren't? Oh, this one, do we color this one? That's our full moon. We don't color the full moon, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and color in. If you want to go some little bitty circles in there, you can. I'm going to just leave mine. There we go. On this one here, I turn it a little bit so that I can really get to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and shade it in. This is called shading. Anytime that we're using our pencil to darken it up, it's almost like when we're using black. Black shades colors. It darkens them up. We use white to tint, to lighten the color, and we use black to shade. And again on this one here, this is our half moon, our last quarter. See our last quarter, our half? We're going to go ahead and put a line down that one and color it up. It's okay whichever one you're working on, as long as you have them all there. I'm going to go back over this part with you. To give you some time if you haven't gotten that part that far. I will go back over it with you. When you're turning your pencil on the side, it will make your point nice and sharp. It will make your point nice and sharp. So let's see, this first one here, we have it all colored in. Everybody has it all colored in. The second one, the next one, we only colored in just the left side of it. We colored just the left side of it. See how the moon looks? We only covered the one side. And these are kind of angled down here, right? Here we have our first quarter, and this side is darkened up. Right here we have only the little crescent that's dark. See how we have a light crescent, a white crescent here, and a dark crescent here? So we have our light crescent here and our dark crescent here. The next one here, our 1, 2, 3, 4 was our dark crescent. Our fifth one we don't touch at all. That's our full moon here. Again, we have another dark crescent when we're on this side of the full moon. That's our moon phases. And over here we have our last quarter. And then we end up with another light crescent towards the last one. Here's our light crescent. So all of this here is in the dark area. So when we're looking at it, we have a light crescent here and a light crescent here and a dark crescent and a dark crescent. Wow. So we have it, our new moon. We have that first crescent coming. Okay. We have the half moon. Then we have the only a little of it. The crescent is dark here. Here we have the full moon. That's when I like to go outside and play. Over here we have our decreasing moon. That's where it's starting to get a little darker here. Notice it's not a half, it's before, it's kind of fat. And here we have this part, this last quarter, all dark. And right here we have another crescent, and our crescent is all white in the crescent. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our crayons. Our moons are colored. I have all my little crayons here. And let's see, I'm going to have blue for my sky. I can go ahead and pull this back out because all I need is my paper. If you want to use the tip of your crayon, you can. Remember, it's my sky. If you want to put something in your sky, that will be totally fine. That will be totally fine to put something in your sky. But we're going to be coloring all of this area up. And if you decide what kind of earth you want to show, what kind of earth do you want to have on yours? Let's see, I'm going to put me some, this is going to be my earth, and some of it goes high, some of it goes low, some of it goes high. So our job is to color this up. If you need to any time to go back on any of those, go ahead. That's our moon phases. That's what we see of the moon during the month. Be careful, you're going to accidentally, like I just did, color in your moon. So we want to color in all our little space. Ooh, I think I'm going to put some water in here. Let's see, my water's going to go straight here. I'll come back with some purple for that. And my water. The hardest part is going to go around each of the moons. Now, if you're using the top of your crayon, that's totally fine. I use, like I say, every bit of my crayons. Now, when I get down here, I'm going to go darker because I'm going to be adding other colors in here in the water. And then I'm going to turn my paper so I can get to it. Where you have the pencil marks on here, you can just color all that area. See what happens if you rub it with the gray area, shading area of your pencil? It will rub off on your paper. If you would like to put stars in your sky, go ahead. Whatever you'd like. Yes, I do turn it upside down and color it in. I usually keep working on it. I put a bottom layer, then I put another layer. I like to work in layers on my coloring. Let's see, I'm going to put me a couple of trees in my artwork. And I'm going to be doing some of my ground in here. Remember, if you don't finish when I finish, no problem. I'm going to put me a little building or two. Let's see, I'm going to do me a tree. Here's my little tree. Remember my lesson we did with the Y tree? You could do your little Y tree. See, I'm going to be doing all of this area. That's my little tree leaves. Remember, it's at nighttime, so you won't see it as much. Unless it's on a full moon, and you might see a lot of the tree. I like to throw in a few of the other colors in there, just so if the moonlight hits it, you'll see a little. You'll see a little bit. Then I'll put me a little house. You decide what kind of house you want to put you. And color it up. I hope you really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed working with you. You can go ahead and blend in all the kind of colors. Put yellows and might be some moonlight hitting it. If there's anything that you need to darken up, go ahead. So class, I shall see you. Your finished artwork at any time. I hope you enjoyed it. Take a moment and view your neighbor's artwork. Notice the similarities between your artwork and theirs. Thank you for joining me today. We've learned so many things. We learned that the moon revolves around the earth. And then we have different views of the moon at different times of the month. We can use a pencil to shade and illustrate how we see the moon during the different times of the month. Notice how you feel at different times of the month. Do you have a favorite time of the month? Mine has always been around a full moon, because when we would go outside at night, we could play, we could see everything so much easier. As you're going through your week, notice how the moon is changing. How much of our moon can you see at night? And sometimes you can see it during the day. During different times of the month. My question was, what moon phase did you see last night? But how about if I change that? If I'd say, what moon phase did you see tonight? Enjoy the rest of your day. I can't wait to see you next time.